as of right now, I'm still losing energy.
Yikes. Yeah, it's gonna be a nail biter.
Through the ramps, there goes Andre. Oh, he is out accelerating me in the ram. And that is the quickest that orange truck has ever accelerated. Guarantee you, bar none. How crazy is that to think about?
Tommy, we have been running the Gauntlet, the world's toughest towing test for almost 10 years, but this one is very special because this is the first one with an all-electric pickup truck.
Very exciting stuff, Andre, but we're shooting this one a little bit differently. You see, usually we start these videos at the very top of the mountain before going down that super steep 7% grade, but we're showing you the behind the scenes on what it's like to even get to the mountain like we do with every truck,
yes.
Except in the Rivian, it's gonna be a nail biter.
Yeah, because of range. So Tommy, let me show you how I hooked it up, and then let me show you what happened on the way here. We're starting the Gauntlet here at our office with 99% of charge. Literally a second ago it said 100%, so it's fully charged. We're hooking up the trailer right now. As always, we use Gen Y heavy-duty hitches for our Gauntlet tests, and it's also because we'll be using a weight distribution attachment right here, as Rivian recommends for trailers over 5,000 pounds. So one thing to note, this hitch is actually a little bit hidden underneath this rear bumper fascia. So a hitch like this Gen Y is actually very useful because it's long enough to actually be able to be connected and secured. Okay, so that was pretty easy. I used the cameras to back up and line up the hitch with the trailer. Now I'm gonna hook up, and the Rivian R1T has a height adjustable suspension, so it should level out with the load. So let's see. Okay, so there may be still a little bit of squat. Maybe as we go down the road it'll level out a little bit more, but I'm gonna now connect the weight distribution attachment to distribute the weight perfectly. Okay, so I just plugged in the trailer and it says, do you want to switch to towing mode? Yes, I do. Trailer brake gain. Let's see, it starts with 5. Let's see if it's gonna standard. Yes, 10 is maximum. I want to try 5 at first. Suspension is in stiff, brake regen high, stability control on. But the interesting part is my range estimate. It changed my range estimate to 135 miles with a full charge based on my towing mode selection. That is very interesting. I need to go about 75 miles to the Gauntlet and then run the Ike. Before I get on the highway, I need to test, first of all, lights and a trailer brake controller. Trailer brake override is actually going to be on my steering wheel. And it gives me a message here. It says hold the little wheel to brake. I could feel it. And you could see the trailer brake engage. There, I was not pushing any brake, so it's working. Okay, so the lights are working, the trailer brakes are working. I'm happy with the safety checks, and I checked the tire pressures as well. So let's get on the road. All right, guys, so Tommy's behind the camera. He's gonna be chasing me in that truck, but I wanna give you the trip information. So I'm starting at 2,716 miles. And funny enough, the Rivian doesn't offer like a really good trip meter, right, Tommy?
Well, it doesn't have a trip meter at all, actually, Andre. And they said that that is something they can add in later with an over-the-air software update. But currently there's no trip meter, so we are going off of the odometer.
But our mileage estimate is 134 now.
134. That is in the towing mode, and then we see at 99% state of charge.
Yes. And I'm right now at 96% battery, and I only went, what, 2-3 miles. So right now, the energy usage is all over the place. I think maybe this truck hasn't towed before, so it's learning about what it needs to do. Okay, I just pulled into the parking lot right here at the base of the Rocky Mountains. There's about 43 miles left to go towards the Ike. I'm gonna give you an update about exactly how much energy I have used so far, and then see if we can actually make this Ike Gauntlet happen.
We hooked up the Rivian fully charged at our offices in Boulder, Colorado. Right now, we are in Golden, Colorado, about to jump on the interstate, but not just any interstate, Interstate 70 through the grueling Rocky Mountains. And this is where things are gonna get really interesting. You see, to get from Boulder, Colorado to Golden, we did have some highway, we did have some city, but we used a tremendous amount of battery.
As we showed you before, we started at 2,716 miles, so I just went 27 miles like Tommy said, and I went from 99% to 72% battery, which means I used 27%. So it's 1 mile driven with a trailer per 1% of battery. So I'm getting a little bit nervous because we're gonna be climbing and driving another 43 miles up towards the beginning of the hike.
I am following Andre up the mountain in our long-term test Ram 1500. This is equipped with a 5.7 liter V8 Hemi engine, and just in case something happens, I can take the trailer with the old Ford F100 if worst comes to worst. Now, a couple of good things have happened which will help out the Rivian. As soon as we got on the highway, the roads dried out completely. So the city roads in Boulder, even that 55-mile-an-hour 2-lane highway to get to Golden, that had a lot of wetness on it, which will hurt efficiency. But now that we are on the interstate, completely dry roads, it's also starting to warm up a little bit, so it's 39 degrees outside right now.
Hey Tommy, so I am obviously climbing I-70 next to you, and right now my battery state of charge is at 59%. So I already used up 13% in the first, 5 miles of climbing. So yeah, I'm hoping I can get a break from this and recoup a little bit of energy and actually get to the hike.
Yikes. Yeah, it's gonna be a nail biter.
So Tommy, we made it to the start of the Gauntlet. We went 70 miles exactly
From Boulder.
And I used up 81% of battery.
And we're not even quite at the top. We have a little bit more uphill till we get to the Eisenhower Tunnel.
Yeah. So I don't know if I can do the entire hike without charging.
Well, we'll see how you do on the regen on the way down.
Okay.
But we may have to DC fast charge it.
So normally we count brake applications, right?
Yeah.
This is a whole new game. And we're going to be measuring exactly how much energy is recouped, right?
Yeah, because in theory you will never have to touch the brake.
Exactly.
With the regen. Now I'm looking at your efficiency.
Yeah.
In the last 15 minutes you've averaged 0.55 miles per kilowatt hour. That is the lowest I've ever seen.
But it's climbing with a trailer.
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
It's an extreme. I mean, this whole test is extreme, right? We're in the Rocky Mountains. We've gone from 5,000 to 11,000 feet. It's like 40 degrees outside. But that's what we do. We do extreme. We push the limits.
We do. So at 30 miles left, estimated, this meter went to red, Tommy.
Okay.
And it said, please charge very soon.
Now, that 24 miles, right, that is based on your current driving habits.
Yeah.
And that fluctuates a lot.
Yes.
And of course, driving uphill with the trailer, that's like the worst case scenario.
So hopefully it'll improve and I actually gain range, right?
All right, let's see what happens.
Okay guys, so I'm in the tunnel. I'm at the top of the world and I'm about to start my downhill portion of my test. So normally when we test diesel and gasoline trucks on the hike, the world's toughest towing test because of its elevation, incline, and just overall conditions. We start at 50 miles an hour and then we count brake applications and see how the transmission behaves. Well, I don't have a typical transmission. I have 4 motors here. So I'll be measuring, I'm going to be telling you exactly how much energy I recoup on the way down and how it affects my range according to the truck. So I'll be using a 60 mile an hour speed limit on the way down and try to recoup some energy. I'm going to be using cruise control. So there I am. I'm going to set my cruise control at 60. There we go. And I'm starting at 15% battery and 19 miles. I can already see right here that regen is working, and I have a little actually graphic on of the truck, the Rivian with a trailer. If you've been watching TFL Truck for a while, you've seen this trailer and this Ford F100 on it before. It's an iron bowl, flat deck, tandem axle. Total weight is 8,100 pounds. And we've used this trailer with many other half-ton trucks. So you can check out TFL Truck for a lot more iGauntlets. Hey Tommy, I have a report for you. I started the downhill at 15% battery, 19 miles of range. Regen is working. I'm not using friction brakes at all, according to the truck. I have not gained a single percent. I'm still at 15. According to the computer, I gained 2 miles of range, but the regen is actually, oh, there. I went to 16%. I just gained 1%.
Yeah, but it feels like we've been driving down this road for a couple miles now. You only gained 1% back to the battery?
Yeah, exactly. I was expecting a lot more, but as of right now,
I'm not gaining back a lot of range.
So have you had to touch the brake pedal at all?
no, I'm not touching any pedals.
I'm just steering. Actually, it's very comfortable ride, very stable, not touching any pedals. And I have not seen my brakes come on once.
Now that's interesting because from the actual perspective of us behind you, your brake lights do kick on every now and then. Now, of course, the regen braking is so strong in that truck, when it hits enough regen, slowing you down quick enough, it will actually kick on the brakes. But every now and then, the lights do come on from back here, which is pretty interesting. So, we'll see what we're at when we get to the base of the hill, but I think we may be stopping at an Electrify America to give you some juice.
I am approaching the end of the downhill. It's now showing 17%, so I gained 2% and I gained 4 miles of range according to the truck. I'm actually surprised. I expected this truck to actually show more regained energy overall, but 2% battery, I mean, it's a significant amount of energy. That could be up to what, almost 3 kilowatt hours I just gained. So I'm gonna go, like Tommy said, to an Electrify America charging station for a little top off, maybe get up to about 50% and then tackle the mountain.
So Andre, you regened 2% back into the battery, which is pretty astonishing to me because that is a long, steep, aggressive grade. And in theory, with that much weight pulling you down the hill, you should have put more electricity back into the battery. I wonder if there's something going on. I wonder if, like, on the way up, maybe things are starting to get toasty, right? We have no way to see the battery temperature, but maybe things are warming up a little bit, although I doubt it because it didn't use the friction brakes. It still allowed you to regen. Now here's the issue, Andre. From Silverthorne back to Golden, Colorado, there are no DC fast chargers that we can charge the Electrify America at. There is a level 2 in a town called Idaho Springs, and then there's a Tesla supercharger actually, but that doesn't help us because we're not in a Tesla. So we're gonna have to actually go a little bit further than the Ike, stop at a Walmart where we can put some electricity back into the battery. I don't think we need to go to 100%, but at least some, so that we can at least get us down the mountain to Golden, Colorado, where we can regroup and decide what we're gonna do. So Andre, we are at the Electrify America in Frisco, Colorado, to
Yes.
Walmart.
Yes.
Now luckily it is a pull-in. Unfortunately,
I'm blocking the roadway.
yeah, you're blocking the thoroughfare.
Most of these are not pull-through.
It's a pull-in,
Pull in.
not a pull-through.
But you know what's good? Look at this. Well, first of all, I'm at 15% still.
Yep.
I can go like this. Boop. And it should open my port,
Yep.
which it did.
Yep.
And now I can charge.
People are already turning around because of this. This is not well designed for trailering.
Okay.
So here's a little bit of a top tip. You can actually initiate the charge on your phone and then plug in the vehicle. I find it goes a little bit smoother doing it this way. So you can click. I've got Electrify America Plan Plus. I'm going to initiate the charge and then it'll say please plug in. So we got our CCS connector into the Rivian. Please work.
I hear something.
We're making some noise, Andre.
Does it mean the electrons are moving?
15%. It's going up. Sweet. 142. So this Electrify America is at the very back of the Walmart parking lot. It's blocking this like one little tiny thoroughfare.
But not really.
There's been like 70 cars that have either tried or attempted to come through here.
But why? They have another parking lot, an entire parking lot.
This system is pissing more people off in Frisco than I think anything in recent history. So I've been following the charge rate as we charge up the Rivian, and it started very consistently, starting at about 15%, we hit 140, and then quickly ramped up to about 149, 150. The quickest I saw was 152, but now that we're hitting 40%, we are down to 104. So as we approach the high 30% state of charge, that dipped super quickly. I mean, incredibly quickly, and now we're down to 100 at 40% state of charge. That is not phenomenal. Now, I did run a 20 to 80% charging test, and you're welcome to check that out over at TFL EV. This truck did better then, so we actually were able to hold about 150 kilowatts, same thing, up until 50%, and then we saw a pretty gradual ramp down in these little steps. But in this charging session, I mean, we're at 41%, drawing 91 kilowatts. We're the only vehicle here at this particular location, and now we're down to 87 at 41%. This needs to be better for long distance road trips. Maybe we'll come back in the summer and try it again, but then again, in theory, the battery is up to temperature because we've just driven this thing up an entire mountain. It's an interesting discussion, and maybe we'll do an update if we get more info from the Rivian guys. So very interesting charging curve we are seeing here. So when we plugged in at 15%, we pretty consistently saw high 140s, low 150s, up until the high 30s state of charge. Then at 39, we started to see that big dip, and we hit as low as about 44 kilowatts in the low 40% state of charges. Now that we're up to 46% state of charge, we're actually seeing a ramp back up. We're pulling 104. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if we're being throttled by the station or if we're being throttled by the trucks, and it seems to be stabilized in that low 100 kilowatt range. Now this is interesting. So if you look at our specs, we just hit actually 51%. Now the Electrify America station says it's delivered about 54 kilowatt hours. However, the truck says it's added 45 kilowatt hours into its battery. So very interesting there. Now you can see we're currently pulling 119 kilowatts. We've been charging for about 27 minutes. I think 51% should be enough to get us down the mountain at least to the next Electrify America station. So 27 minutes later, let's go ahead and unplug. I'll give you the full session summary. We're at about 52% state of charge. That should be enough to get us up the grueling Ike Gauntlet. First time we've ever had to refuel in the middle of an Ike test, I can tell you that much, but always an adventure.
All right, guys, I'm starting the Ike Gauntlet, and I'm accelerating from 35. Bam, there.
Here we go, through the ramps. There goes Andre. Oh, he is out accelerating me in the ramp with 8,000 pounds behind him. That was pretty incredible.
And I'm at 60. This is the fastest accelerating truck with a trailer I've ever been in. The TRX has nothing on the acceleration that the Rivian offers. I was still in the merge lane, and I was already at 60 miles an hour, which is the maximum speed limit. So I'm starting at 53% and 75 miles of range. That's my starting state. And I set the cruise control system at 60. And I'm gonna start this world's toughest towing test because it's an 8% grade. And I'll tell you exactly how it behaves, how it performs. It should be an 8-minute run because it's 8 miles at about 60 miles an hour. So about 8 minutes would be a perfect time up the mountain. I'll tell you exactly how much energy I've used and also, you know, what the range is. I have something that's peculiar.
My cruise control system disconnected, so I was using it to maintain 60. And now it says cruise control unavailable. So maybe some of the sensors are dirty or cameras are dirty, but...
right now I'm maintaining speed using my throttle.
Yeah, that is the quickest acceleration I have ever seen with a trailer. I couldn't keep up with a V8 Ram empty.
So when this truck is fully charged, it has all of its 835 horsepower and 906 pound-feet of torque, which is the torquiest, well, not a diesel truck. You know, some of the heavy-duty diesels have more torque, but it's the most horsepower out of any pickup we've ever tested.
And keep in mind, the size of the Rivian is in between a midsize and a half-ton truck, so like in between a Ranger and an F-150, so it's nowhere near like an F-350 or 450 with a diesel.
Okay, so I'm reaching the top of the world, 11,158 feet above sea level. This is the very end of the Ike Gauntlet, and my time, it's a perfect 8-minute run. So give and take, it was perfect, maintained 60 miles an hour. There you have it. So let's wrap this up, and also I will show you, Tommy and I will show you if I can get back to Golden and what happens there.
So I started the uphill climb at 53% battery, and I finished at 37.
53 to 37, so what's that, 16% of the battery used? Well, that's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Right, we went 8 miles and we used 16% of this large battery, which is approximately 135 kilowatt hours.
Yeah, certainly dragging 8,000 pounds up a mountain is not great for efficiency. But now we've got another test. We got to get back to our office. We've got a lot of Interstate 70 in front of us on the way back to Golden. We're at 11,000 feet. We're going to go down to that 6,000, 5,000 feet level. And it's not all the way consistent downhill, right? It's still a rocky, so it's like steep downs and then brief ups, steep downs. So we'll see what we're left with when we get off I-70.
Okay, Tommy, so the Ike is done, and we're almost all the way back down to Golden.
All right, that's great, Andre. How are you doing percentage-wise?
Well, we went about 40 miles from where we finished the Ike Gauntlet by the Eisenhower Tunnel. I'm at 27, which means I used up 10% of my battery to go 40 miles. So yes, gravity is helping me, and right now it says I have 77 miles left, but I don't know if I can trust it because on the way to Boulder, it's kind of flat, and I might be at 0 by the time I get to Boulder.
Okay, so how much, do you remember how much energy we used getting from Boulder to Golden?
About 25%.
And we're at 27%. So do you want to chance it, or do you want to stop at the station here in Golden and just put a little bit in?
I say we chance it.
Okay, whatever you want, Andre.
You know, danger is my middle name.
Okay, so I just pulled away maybe 1/8 of a mile from the office to check on things, and with the weight distribution bars attached, it looks like the truck leveled itself out, so that's pretty impressive. So here's a very peculiar thing. You know how we left with 99%?
Sure.
In order to get to the Ike, it took about 81% battery.
Yep.
And then on the way down, we started at 37 and ended at our office at 16, which is 21%. So gravity works.
Gravity works very well. Yeah, go figure. Now,
But what is this?
this is why you typically want to go off the percentage stated charge and not the guessometer, because we're sitting back at the office right now at 16%, and it's suggesting 336 miles of range.
No, this is an error of some sort. There is a miscalculation here, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I think that's a little bit off, but the 16% does seem right. Now, we did use less power getting from Golden back to Boulder than I kind of thought, and I guess it makes sense. I mean, the road's straight up, and then, of course, Boulder to Golden slightly uphill as well.
Yeah.
But I think we should close it up and come up with a conclusion. So, Andre, how did the Rivian do on the Ike?
Well, actually, it's a bit of both. Some great news, and of course, the range was the negative news.
Right.
But the great news is that there were moments when I was towing when I forgot I was towing.
Okay.
It was so stable, so incredibly quiet, so comfortable that it's a great towing platform. This R1T really impressed. The downhill portion, right, we gained only 2% of battery. I was hoping for more. On the way up, we used up about 16% of battery. And so we need to do something else with this truck.
Okay, what's that?
I think we need to take it on an MPG loop on a flat highway versus a gas truck.
That's a fantastic idea, and we'll tow something maybe a little bit smaller, something a little bit more realistic that people might tow. So we'll get a definitive range number towing versus a gasoline truck, which will be interesting. But as a torture test, it doesn't get much harder than this. 8,100 pounds of a 1960s Ford. We had cold weather,
Yes.
20, 30, 40 degrees out here, depending on where we were at. We had some rain on the way out. I mean, it was like everything against the Rivian, but we still made it. I mean, it did take us, what, an extra 30 minutes
Because
to go
we had to charge up.
there and back, because we did have to charge up. We returned to the office with a small buffer, like what, 16%, 18%?
Yeah, 16%, yeah.
And in the next videos, we're gonna make sure that we dial in those efficiency numbers of towing. But as a torture test, it didn't overheat. It didn't, fail in any way.
It didn't complain?
It didn't complain. We got no warning messages about thermal throttling, nothing like that. So, I think if the charging was a little bit better, we had some kind of weird charging issues in Frisco. I'd like to see a little bit of a quicker charging curve. I think that this could be better on a road trip, but if you just like towing your boat to the harbor, towing your boat to the marina,
your camper,
short distances,
yeah,
this thing could be pretty awesome.
Yes, and I would take a couple of points, like we usually get 25 points subjective score. I would take a couple of points off. First, it doesn't have towing mirrors, although for this test it was just fine because our trailer is pretty low on the sides, and that also the hitch is a little bit hidden underneath, so it's a little bit hard to hook up, but those are my only complaints.
Well guys, let us know what you think in the comment section below. As always, this has been Tommy
and Andre.
Check out TFL-studios.com if you want to find all of our channels in one place for all the latest and greatest in Rivian reviews.